And I'm live. Hey there, this is Sarah with the Notorious Needle, and I'm all about empowering you to break the rules of conventional cross stitch so you can stitch whatever you want. This is Flosstube Live, so come along and stitch with me. I will be giving you shop updates and sneak peek previews, show you whips and finishes. So let's start off with what I've been promising, and I want to show you a brand new 3D cross stitch pattern. Introducing Fabulous Fred. Fred is a 3D cross stitch unicorn. He is made with embroidery floss and plastic canvas, 14 count clear plastic canvas and by Doris, and DMC embroidery floss. With Fred is assembled with cross stitch, joining stitch, overcast stitch, and turkey stitch. Now that is just a sneak peek. Here's Fred right here, live in the flesh, so to speak. He's on 14 count, so you can see he's not very big. The pattern Fabulous Fred will be available in the Notorious Needle Etsy shop by this time next week. So head over there if you're looking to purchase this pattern and put them together yourself. So he's cross stitch on the sides and panels of the plastic canvas. Technically it's perforated plastic. And the joining stitch is what I use to assemble him. I use the overcast stitch to cover up any edges of the plastic canvas or perforated plastic that might be peeking out. And turkey stitch for his mane, and then the tail is a little sort of like a loop start that you might use. Anyway, included with Fred is links to tutorials for all of those stitches if you don't know how to do them. None of them are very hard, and the pattern for Fred will include video assembly instructions. So I walk you through step by step exactly how to put him together in the right order to make sure that he comes out absolutely fabulous. So yay, Fred! Hi Rachel, thanks for joining me. So happy to see you. Okay, so moving on from Fred, I wanted to show you what I am stitching today. I am continuing with the Unfuck America and Vote pattern today. This is what I will be stitching for the Stitch With Me. So let me get started. I still have to thread my needle, for goodness sake. I guess I should have done that ahead of time, but here we are. This pattern is also available in the Notorious Needle Etsy shop, and the link is below in the comments. Just threading this needle really quickly. I'm stitching it on 14 count white Aida cloth. I like using white for this pattern because of the red, white, and blue. And I'm crazy, I use 4 strands of floss on 14 count Aida because I like for the X's to completely cover the Aida cloth. I also stitch cross country, which means I like to stitch one color at a time, either the entire pattern with the one color and then before moving on to the next color, or I'll stitch sections like I'm doing here. I usually start in the middle. I don't know, part of the difficulty of stitching with 4 strands is making sure that they lay nice and flat so that your crosses, so that your X's look neat. But you know, they don't have to be perfect. I just like it so that there's no white peeking through. Rachel, what are you doing on this fine Saturday morning besides coming to see me? So this is my whip right now that I'm working on. I am actually working, I do have another whip. So usually I am a monogamous stitcher, which means I only have one pattern going at a time. But since I started the Notorious needle, I've discovered that I really do need to have more than one going at a time. And I usually have one that's like just for me, and one or two that I'm stitching for you. And then sometimes I still make gifts for loved ones. It takes a really long time, and I spend a lot of my time with you, so I don't stitch as much for pleasure anymore. But this is fun too. I do enjoy this. So a lot of folks, when they stitch on a frame like this, they'll stitch two-handed, so they'll have their dominant hand underneath and their non-dominant hand on top. I'm stitching with my right hand, I'm right dominant, and then my left hand I leave underneath because I want to make sure that there's no like weird knots and stuff when I stitch in a frame. Because I don't flip it over, I only work from the top. Let me let that dangle and untwist a little bit. Let's see, Rachel says, just watching YouTube right now, not much else going on, love this pattern, it looks great. How's the audio, Rachel? Do I sound okay? I think last time the audio was a little too, the volume wasn't high enough. I went back and watched it, and the video was really choppy, so I figured out some tech issues. I am not like a total noob when it comes to tech, but YouTube is a whole different animal. And I wanted to make sure that you could actually see what I was doing. The last video was a little bit choppy. Still a lot to learn. My third Flosstube only, and I wanted to do it live because I really want to interact with you. Rachel says, I love this pattern, it looks great. Yeah, I really like this one too. Hey, I also learned that YouTube doesn't mind an F-bomb here and there, so here we are. They just don't want it right at the beginning of the video, so I wanted to introduce you to Fred right away. I had so much fun stitching him and creating him. Rachel says you sound good. Thanks, Rach, I appreciate it. Fred was really hard to put together. He was hard to create from scratch, but once I figured out how I wanted him to look, he wasn't that hard to put together. There were some challenges, of course, but it was a lot of fun. And I really like making the 3D patterns. I'm definitely going to be making more. I haven't decided yet, though, if I want to make more like magical creature patterns or if I should finish that alphabet that I started with those certain 4 letters. That 3D alphabet that I started with that 4-letter word. Rachel says, how much is Fred? I want to get him. So Fred will be $15 in the Etsy shop. And he will be available next week. Today is just a little sneak peek. I still have to finish editing the video that I put together for him so that it makes it as easy as possible for you to put him together. Like I said, it's not that hard, but people learn in different ways, and I want to make sure that I have a couple of different ways for you to learn how to put them together so that whether you learn on paper, there's a PDF, or whether you learn on video, like me, I learn better by watching. I want to make sure I have that available to you. So it's fun and not hard. Cross stitch shouldn't be hard. It should be fun. It should be relaxing. It should be meditative. That's why I like it. Definitely stress relief. So I can't show you the other whip I've got going on. That one's for October. Maybe I shouldn't even mention it. That's kind of far away. What are we in, July? Got a little ways to go. But what I will show you is, let's see, my finish. I have a photo here. Here's my latest finish. It says The Real Boss, and this is on a baby bib. This is for a friend of mine who is due to have a baby, which in the time of COVID is really difficult. I miss seeing her baby bump, you know, and this is her first, so she doesn't have the opportunity to like enjoy being pregnant. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, so I made this, which is kind of snarky, but no profanity. She's not as much of a fan as I am, but I hope she likes it. And if you would like to stitch a baby bib like this, I did put a link in the description below, so that you could pick one up. I just bought it from Amazon. They usually have them available in Joann's Fabrics and Michael's in the States, and it's pretty common, but I went ahead and put an Amazon link. I do get a tiny little commission if you purchase something from Amazon through my link, but it's no extra charge to you. And that way it's available online. You can order it, you can have it delivered. You don't have to go, you know, outside if you're still in a COVID hotspot like I am, sunny South Florida. It came out really cute. I'm really happy with it. Let's see. Let's go back to me. Ah, there I am. Hello. So that's what I've been working on a personal level. She's due in late September, and she's going to have a little boy. Why won't my needle come up? There it goes. And like I said, it's their first child, so I'm super excited for them. And I'm gonna make a little a little card with like care instructions. I don't know if you can see. I wanted to mention. You can see that there are grid lines still in the bib. I did grid it. I didn't create the pattern. This pattern is adapted from a pattern that I bought online, and I apologize. I looked and looked and looked, and I cannot find where I bought this pattern. It's been around forever, but it is not my pattern. But I did grid it because the reel was at the top and then Boss was underneath, and I needed to separate them so that it would fit on this bib. And so I did grid it so that I could count exactly how many stitches it was across. I was having a hard time with that, and gridding it made it a lot easier. And gridding just means that you line your fabric somehow so that it looks more like the pattern, because when you purchase a pattern, the chart, you know, it has dark lines in the grid every 10 stitches, and so when you grid your fabric, you mimic those dark lines, and it makes it a lot easier to follow the pattern. And then for me, it made it a lot easier to count how many stitches I had in this bib. You may have seen there was only like 2 or 3 stitches on each side of wiggle room, so not a lot. And normally you do not want to stitch that close, but it was pre-made, so it's not like it's going to fray, right? Rachel says it's adorable. Aw, thanks, Rachel. Rachel also says, is the letter O supposed to be a binky? Yes, it is. Isn't that cute? I thought that was a nice touch. So the next tutorial will be in a couple of weeks, and that will be on gridding, and I will be using that project as an example for gridding with wire. It's not called gridding floss. What is it called? I forget what it's called. It's gridding. We'll call it gridding wire because it's not thread. It's kind of like the consistency of a fishing wire, and you can use fishing wire, but I was gridding on white, and fishing wire tends to be clear or like a clear blue, and I was concerned it wouldn't stand out enough, so I wanted to use a darker color, and that comes in bright red, which was cool. Yeah, so the next tutorial will be gridding, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks, and you'll learn how to grid with that and with like a gridding pen. And it just makes your project a whole lot easier to stitch. You get fewer mistakes. And in my example, you're able to count how many stitches you have in something like a prefabricated baby bib. My mom is actually working on dish towels right now, and so but she eyeballs that stuff. So I don't think she gridded for it. She just eyeballed it, which is awesome. I don't like how that stitch came out. Let's move that over here. There we go. That's gonna look better. So that's my finish for this floss tube. And hopefully I can finish this one soon. So this is the Unfuck America and Vote pattern I told you about earlier. It does look good on the screen. Red, white, and blue. There you go. So here's a close-up of this pattern. This is the rendered version. And this pattern actually has a sister pattern called Here Right Matters. I made a little flat lay. I really like how it came out. And this is America, Here Right Matters. This is a quote from Colonel Vindman when he was testifying during the Trump impeachment trials. And he was trying to reassure his father that he would be okay, that he would be safe, he wouldn't be retaliated against, that this is America and Here Right Matters. And I wanted that to be true so bad. He is safe, but he was retaliated against, unfortunately. But right should matter here. And so this is the sister pattern, and you can see they both have the swirly America script in them, and red, white, and blue, which is cool. Let's see, any comments? So, what else did I want to tell you about? Oh, I did a thing. So, my Etsy shop is pretty new. I opened it in September of 2019. So, my Etsy shop isn't really a year old yet. I did an interview with a woman named Kara Bunton, and her YouTube channel is A Cake to Remember, and the link to the interview is in the description down below if you want to go watch it. And that was really fun. She was asking about, what techniques I use to bring traffic to my Etsy shop. I don't use a lot. The majority of the views that I get on my Etsy shop are organic SEO search. Because if I'm going to do the work, I'm going to want people to visit my website, which I'm still working on, but I'll give you an update on that in a minute. It was a fun interview. Kara's a very no-nonsense instructor. And so, oh, here, I wanted to show you this picture. So this is a screenshot I took from the interview. And this is Kara's reaction when I told her a very embarrassing story about my Etsy shop. So I was trying to share with her that good is better than perfect. And I am such a perfectionist, which is why I like my Notorious needle because it's about breaking the rules, and I find it so liberating. Because I'm definitely a rule follower. Shh, don't tell anyone. But it shouldn't have to be that way. It should be a choice, you know? Anyway, so done is better than perfect. And so I just went and did it, even though it wasn't perfect. And I still have a lot to learn. But trial by fire seems to teach me faster than anything else. So here I am, jumping in head first into all of this. I made a really embarrassing mistake. You may have seen, I didn't put the link in the description, but I'll try and remember to do that when I'm done with the live. So one of my patterns is a beautiful portrait of former President Barack Obama. And it's this quote from when Donald Trump was running for president. He was still campaigning. And Obama said, "We're Americans. We stand up to bullies. We don't follow them." And I put that quote in the cross-stitch pattern. I found it very uplifting. And like I said, I want America to be like that. I want the United States to be like that again. And I'm working behind the scenes to help make that happen. But embarrassingly, I spelled his name wrong in the cross-stitch pattern. Now, don't tell my mother, because she test stitched that pattern for me. And I need to go, and I framed it and I put it in my frame tutorial and everything, and the tutorial came out great, except the pictures all have his name spelled wrong. I spelled it with 2 R's. I don't know why. I've always done that. The man was president for 8 years, and I always spelled his name wrong, and I felt like silly. But here's the thing. How I discovered that I spelled his name wrong, I didn't discover it. A customer bought the pattern, and she sent me a message, and she said, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but you spelled his name wrong." This poor lady spent money on this pattern, and it was wrong. I was so embarrassed. Because it takes like a 0.5 second Google search to figure out how to spell this man's name. So she was so kind. She said, "I don't want a refund or anything. I just want to let you know that this is what happened." And I thanked her from the bottom of my heart. I fixed the pattern immediately, updated all the pictures, and I sent her a copy of the a copy of the fixed pattern. And I thanked her over and over and over again. It was so embarrassing because she was the first one who bought the pattern, and I'm wondering how many other people passed over this pattern because I spelled his name wrong. And so I gave her, since she didn't want a refund, I gave her the choice of a free pattern, and she picked a different one that she had been looking at, and I was just so grateful to her, and she was happy, and now she's a repeat customer, so I'm glad that she was happy. But it was just so embarrassing. But I didn't die. I'm still here. It was a silly mistake, but I fixed it as best I could. She was happy, and since then other folks have enjoyed that pattern too. So yeah, super embarrassing. Actually, I think I have it over here. I have to correct it. You guys want to see this? Wait, do you want to see this super embarrassing pattern? Let me know, because I still have it. My poor mom. Don't tell my mom. Is she on? Hopefully not. She's been great. She's been super supportive. She really enjoys test stitching my patterns. And she's the one who taught me everything I know. Well, some things I figured out, like needle minders. I didn't even know that was a thing till a couple of years ago. I joined some cross-stitch groups on Facebook and learned what needle minders were. I read a story about a woman who used to just keep her needle like between her teeth, and she thought she swallowed it, but she actually inhaled it, and she had to go and have surgery to remove a portion of her lung where the needle had lodged. And after that, I told my mom about it, and I said, you know, we got to stop putting the needles between our teeth, and she promised me she would. So I bought her a really pretty sparkly needle minder, and I got my pretty sparkly one too. Oh, let me see if you can see this better. This butterfly, purple butterfly. See, it's got all kinds of rhinestones. Anyway, oh, okay, so Rachel says she wants to see the pattern with the mistake. Okay, here it is. Ta-da! Look, 2 R's, and it's already framed. So I'm gonna have to take this out of the, let me just say, thank goodness for Photoshop, but I'm gonna have to take this out of the frame, pull those stitches, restitch it, wash it, iron it, and reframe it. But luckily, it's framed on sticky back mounting board, which is super duper easy. You don't need a lot of extra thread. You don't have to like stitch it to keep it on. It's just sticky on there, and it doesn't move. So yeah, I still have to fix that. And then when it's fixed, I'm gonna put it in the background right over here. After it's fixed, I'll put it. I'll put it up on my wall. Let's go back to the stitching. Rachel, you're such a troublemaker. Yeah, so that was a fun interview. Oh, and the framing tutorial is at the Notorious Needle as well. So you can check it out there. I don't think I put a link to that below, but I will when this is over. Oh, so the last thing I wanted to tell you about was an update on my shop on the website, notoriousneedle.com. So I am in the process of creating a storefront on the website. I finally finished putting all of the products on the website. So now I just have to run tests and make sure everything is working and up and running okay, and then I can open. So I'm hoping, I got fingers crossed, I'm hoping I can open very, very soon. I don't want to promise a date because life happens, but I definitely, this is something that is important to me, and definitely a priority on my list. And then I can get working on new patterns again for you, because Fred is the first new pattern that I'll be releasing since March, when the Political Therapy collection came out. So close, so close. I am very excited. I am very excited. So when that's done and I'm ready to design the next collection of patterns, I'll be asking your opinions on stuff. Want to know what you like and what you don't like. A while back I did a survey on what theme of collection that you wanted to see next, and the overwhelming majority was adulting. So I've got a few ideas. I'll run those by you as I get to working on them. But first is the shop, and so close. I'm nearly there. I want it to be done at the end of this month, but you know, it's tech, so stuff doesn't always work the way you hope, you know? Anywho, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone need help with any cross-stitch projects that they're working on? I love helping you with those. I love answering questions. You can email me, sarah@notoriousneedle.com, or you can head over to the Facebook group. I'm on Facebook all the time. I'm obsessed. Might even be a little bit addicted. But I am on Facebook a lot, so if you have questions, you can ask me there. share pictures of your whips and your finishes. They don't have to be Notorious needle patterns. It's very relaxed over there, very accepting. And I really just want cross stitch to be a fun, relaxing, stress-free hobby. Everybody needs that, especially now. And cross stitch is especially suited for what we're going through now, because it can be done solitary. You can do it in a group. You know, I've gone to stitching circles and taught my friends, which was hilarious. Some people, well, some of my friends liked it better than others, let's say. But they all gave it a good shot, and I am appreciative to them for it. Okay, I am coming to the end of this thread, so I'm going to end this in the front so that I don't have to flip it over. There we go. Put my needle on the needle minder. Oh, there's my scissors. There. Can't even tell. Okay, so if nobody has any questions for me today, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you so much for joining my Flosstube. Let's see. Back to little old me. Hair. Thank you so much for joining my Flosstube. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Later.